Garcilaso de la Vega mentioned two main paths called Capac Nan along the Inca Empire, from north to south, one through the plains, along the sea coast, and one in the mountains. According to him, the Inca roads that historians spoke of with all praise, a so great work that it surpasses any painting that can be made of it, and because he couldn't paint them as well as they painted them, he said what each one of them said, taken to the letter. When the Inca Huayna Capac left the city of Cuzco with his army to conquer the province of Quito, about 500 leagues away, it was extremely difficult to cross the mountains because of the precarious roads, the large ravines and cliffs. So it seemed fair to him to build a new road, along which he could return from his victorious conquest. After dominating the province, he ordered a road across all the Andean mountains, very wide and flat, breaking and equalizing the rocks where necessary, equalizing and elevating the masonry ravines. The road was totally flat when it was finished, but with the wars and the Spanish invasion, the masonry of these passages were broken in many parts, preventing anyone who wanted to pass through them from being able to pass, and now we are surprised by what it remained of those roads. But you can imagine how wonderful they were 500 years ago. Thus, Huayna Capac ordered another road to the north, through the plains, which was completed with other roads in them. That road was as solid as the mountain one. It crossed all the valleys where they could reach the freshness of the rivers and trees. It was generally a league long, so they made a road almost 40 feet wide, with very thick walls at one end and the other and 4 or 5 walls up. Upon leaving the valley, the same road followed through the sands, where sticks and stakes tied by ropes were planted, so that no one could lose direction or twist the sticks. That road was the same 500 leagues as the other. According to Zarate, Huayna Capac went by one road and returned by the other, and along the way, wherever he went, the road was always covered and filled with bouquets and flowers with a very sweet scent. Pedro de Cieza de Leon, speaking about the same road, updated the news in his time. Although in many places it is already dismantled and undone, shows the great thing that it was and the power of those who ordered it to be done. The chiefs and leaders of the provinces, by order of the Inca, in these valleys and on the coast, opened a path up to 15 feet wide. On one side and the other of the road, there was a very large wall with all the space cleared and fallen under trees, and of these trees, in many places, overhanging the path, branches of them full of fruit. Along the entire route in the groves, there were many species of birds and parrots. Some fortresses and temples of the sun were in these valleys. All those narratives that historians wrote are not enough to make you imagine the greatness of the work, because these distances were so great and had slopes of 2, 3, 4 leagues and more climbs. The mountain road, as Garcilaso says, on the highest peaks where more land is discovered. Some high places on one side or the other of the path, with its gravel gradations to climb up to them, where those carrying the litters rested and the Inca enjoyed a beautiful view from all sides, across those high and low mountains, snowy and yet to snow, which is certainly a beautiful view, because in some sections, depending on the height of the mountains where the path goes, 50, 60, 80, and 100 leagues of land are visible, from where you can see mountain peaks so high that they seem to reach the sky, and, contrariwise, valleys and cliffs so steep that they seem to end in the center of the earth. All that remained was what time, wars, and the Spanish invasion could not consume. At the time described by Garcilaso, shortly after the Spanish occupied the Andes, significant changes had already occurred throughout this great work. On the path of the plains, in the deserts of the sandbanks, which were very large, also with many high and low hills of sand, tall timbers were planted on site, so that they could serve as guides so that walkers would not lose track of the path that could be lost with the movement that the sand made with the wind, covering them and blinding them. And it was not safe to guide oneself by the sand hills, because they also pass and move from one part to another if the wind was strong. So that the beams driven along the road were very necessary to guide the travelers, and this was why they have remained, because they could not succeed without them. Today, almost nothing remained of all this splendid work, which crossed the stunning slopes, under climates and ecosystems as varied as the high Andes and the cloud forests. We may cross part of the Inca Trail to Machu Picchu, overcoming two passes at high altitude, the highest of them of 4,200 meters, known as Dead Woman Pass, where we can feel that we are taken to the past, imagining another life. Facing the Inipunca or Gate of the Sun to enter Machu Picchu like a gate to the past. Even now we are surprised with the flora and fauna, dreaming that nothing was changed when, between May and October, almost with no rain, the weather makes the road easier. Another very beautiful section of that road is in the Cajamarca region. It is a well-preserved branch of the old road, which still maintains part of the original pavement built by the Incas. Despite being at 3,000 meters, the weather is pleasant. The landscape is dominated by shades of green, warm and cold greens, provided by bushes and trees such as eucalyptus, alder, conwallies where live colorful native birds, finches, thrushes, sparrows and hummingbirds searching for flowers. The land covered by crops of potatoes, wheat, barley, geese, and pastures. With one or another farmer preparing his land in the ancestral way with a yoke of oxen and a wooden plow. Walking from the town of Cambao, we arrive at a large square with walls of ancient Cajamarca buildings, the site of the necropolis of Cambao, tombs carved into the volcanic rock of an ancient religious and ceremonial center. Walking through the natural landscape to the bed of the Rio Grande, following the Tres Tingos area, union of three rivers, Grande, Ajafur y Pacha, which form the great river Canta, which flows into the beautiful valley of Cajamarca. The last leg of the trek along the Inca Trail in the region of Cajamarca carries to the Canta River, where you can take a refreshing dip in the river. A few meters ahead, after crossing the spectacular Canon del Chiche, fascinating not only for its rock formations, but also by the rich native flora and fauna, where you feel sheltered from colorful varieties of orchids and flowers of bells. The Cumbamao Architectural Complex, located 17 kilometers from the city of Cajamarca, traveling between gigantic rocks carved by the winds over millions of years, impresses us with its particular shapes. Cajamarca is famous for the hydraulic engineering works that built its ancient inhabitants, the Cumbamao Channel. Furthermore, the sanctuary, located in a whimsical rock form, where ancient inhabitants performed ceremonies and religious rites. The starting point of the route along the ancestral path, the Inca Trail, which connects Cajamarca to its ancient choir, today called San Nicolas, is about 11.5 kilometers from the Cajamarca-San Marcos Road. Coya was the last bastion of resistance for the Caxa people before the invasion of the Inca Empire. The old path runs from San Nicolas to the village of Namora, with its adobe houses and two slope-tiled roofs. Horses and vicuñas which roam freely through the woods. The variation in the local vegetation is attractive, with large conwallies that seem to surround the scattered houses of the population. Little by little, following the route through the region's sunny afternoons, following the banks of the Canta River till La Canora, closer to the waterfalls in this district. In the past, when spring wove its dark red carpet on the Andean mountains, covering the slopes with notro trees, like flames along the roads. The Capac Nan, main road leading north, in the transformed landscape of a color full of shades of purple and violet, with the beautiful flowers of Tibuchina laxa, which still spread across the slopes of the Cajamarca region, covering its mountainous forests, insists, resists and persists until now, trying to remind us that, just like their paths, the Incas are not extinct and Paititi is right there, very close to you. If the Incas are right, the prophecy of return is about to be fulfilled in 2033, when Pachacuti will complete 500 years of destruction. To continue following this fantastic search for Paititi and the return of the Inca, subscribe to this channel. Like, comment, and share. Inca greetings.